Okay, in this video we go over pivot tables. Pivot tables are a descriptive analytics tool. It's used a lot to answer questions. It's a way to quickly turn structured data into information fast. There's different things we'll set up, and we're going to do a couple of examples here. We're also going to see how you can use slicers. You can have as many pivot tables as you want and build charts from them and wind up using those for dashboards. So here's the data that we're looking at. We're going to be within the class looking at the credit card transactions. And this is structured data. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 columns. It's got 401 rows, so 400 data points. It has the date of a credit card transaction, the day, the time of day, the part in the United States, what type of credit card they used, some information on the buyer, how many items I ordered, the total cost, and the single most expensive item. So how can we turn this into information quickly? So if your cursor is over here and you put your cursor in this and you go under Insert Pivot Table, it correctly generates and says, oh, we must have a larger data set. If your cursor is over here and you do Insert Pivot Table, it doesn't know what to do and you have to go grab the data yourself. So if you have your cursor within the data set, it'll grab it. Usually it does it correct. Sometimes you'll have to edit that. The next thing is, where do you want to put the pivot report? And the safest is always a new worksheet. If you put it on the existing worksheet, you could overwrite something. We put it on the new worksheet. It generates a new worksheet down at the bottom. It puts the report to the left. It puts what you have control over to the right. And what you're going to do is grab these columns, these fields. So we have date, day, time. Those are the columns. Date, day, time, all 10 of them are up here, and you drag these into these different things. So the ones that are how you want to cut the data, you drag those into the rows, columns, and to some extent the filters. What you want to see the output of, you drop here. So if I want to know how much money is spent by day, I can bring total cost down here. And just like that, when I put total cost down there, you can see that the total purchasing amount was $61,527. If I would take this column and sum that column, there you go. And you can get that quickly like that. And look what Excel does. When you drop in a quantitative thing, the default it does is that it sums. You don't have to sum it. You could go change that to something else if you just wanted to maybe take the average, $153 per transaction, or you can always just count how many transactions were there where there were 400. So you have control over that when you drop in a quantitative. But look what happens if you drop in a region. If you drop a region into this, all it can do is count. And so it doesn't, when you want to count things, you drop in qualitative data. And what I mean by qualitative is that the region are not numbers. There's no numbers there. So all it can do is count. When you drop in things that have quantitative data, these over here, then it will default sum and you can do other things with it. How you want to cut the data is what you drop in here. So if I wanted to know how many transactions by day, by day, if I drop day in and then drop in that same field, I drop it in there, it's a qualitative field, so it's going to count it. I can see of my 400 transactions, I had 30 on Sunday and 62 on Monday. Tuesday I had 54, like that. If I wanted to cut this by card type, and I could put it here also. You can either put it there or you can put it there. So if I put card type and I wanted to, again, I'm going to drop that same field into this, you can see that I had 94 people, of the transactions, 94 used the ElectMark credit card. 94 times this was used. And 306, the other, something else was used. So you can get this information really fast. You can also, then you can cut this and you could say, well, the high item, and you can give me the total. So the total of the high items, not that you would want that, for the elect mart was $12,000 or so versus 27 for other, 27,000. Once you have that, you can go build a chart like that. Maybe you want that one, maybe you want a pie, you can do something like this, you can edit this as you want, and then this can change. So if I bring card type in and bring gender, I get the same, the chart automatically updates if it can. So when you drop in quantitative data into this, the default is sum. You can change it to whatever you want. If you drop in qualitative data, if you drop in qualitative data, then all it can do is count. So let's answer a couple of questions. How many transactions occurred by day? Well, we've already answered that, but let's go do that again. Okay, I'm going to start over. I'm going to build a pivot table. I'm going to let it generate a new worksheet, and notice what happened is that we've got a new one. We've got this one, but now we're doing another one. I'm going to bring day in, and I'm going to bring also day in, and there's your count. We can sort this. So if I wanted to sort this Sunday, Monday, a little trick that you can do is I'll move Wednesday to the bottom. Whoops. I'll move Wednesday to the end. And then Thursday, it already had Sunday, Monday, and it had Tuesday at the end. So I'm just doing a little sorting trick. I'm going to move this to the end. And then Friday, I'm going to move to the end. And then Saturday, move to the end. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Once you have that, again, you can certainly go build a graph. There's a graph, and it's by day, and you can see the most number of transactions are on Fridays and Saturdays, very little on Sundays, like that. So there you go. There's the first question. Let's go do another one. What is the average purchase per transaction by gender and region? Average purchase per transaction by gender and region. So go back to this. I'm going to build another pivot table. Let it generate a new worksheet. And I'm going to bring region and gender. I'm going to bring in total cost, but I'm going to change this to an average. I'm also going to format this as a dollar format. And I'm not going to show any decimals like that. So there you go. There's by region, by gender. There's this. It's showing totals. You can go under here and under the design. If you want to remove the totals, you can. I'm going to leave them there for now. The other thing that it asks you to do is to add a card type slicer to this one. So while I'm in this, and I go up here to analyze, I can add a slicer. So I'm over here, analyze, insert a slicer, and it goes and it says these are the 10 columns or the 10 fields, and I wanted to add a card type slicer. So I'll grab card type like that. And there's a slicer so that if right now nothing is selected, or if I can just look at elect mart or other. Or I can turn them off and it's got everything. So you can do that. And again, if I put a graph, I'll go with that graph right there. Here's the purchase of by region, and you can see that in the Midwest and the West, women spend a little bit more per transaction, and in the South and the Northeast, men spend a little bit more. So maybe that's some marketing research. And I can say, well, what about if we cut this just by the people who use our credit card, the company credit card? And it looks like then across the board, it seems like women, the average transaction is higher. And then other, so there you go. You've got different ways to allow the user to cut the data and dynamically change the pivot. Okay, so that's the basics of pivot tables. One thing I would say is that when you click off of the pivot table, the report goes away. or the generator goes away, you click back in. If this goes away for good and you don't know how to get it back, you can always go under Analyze and Show Field List. And there you go, it pops back up. You can make these as much complicated as you want. You can do things like this. I don't recommend building a graph that's hard to explain. So build graphs that are, I'd rather have a lot of graphs than have a one all-encompassing graph. So it's up to you, but you have to decide the graphs that you want to build. Thanks.